The smartest guys around are about to break it down like they've won the game a million times.
Well, actually, they didn't really win the game at all.
Survivor know it all. Survivor know it all. Got the game all figured out, they know it all.
Yes, that's right. Rob Cesternino is hobnobbing with the glitterati in New York City. So I am joined by the cockatoo bro himself, Omar Zaheer. Welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on what a wildlife-focused episode of the show. This is perfect. I'm glad I'm not hobnobbing with the glitterati. I'm glad we're here right now to talk about what a biting episode it was.
This really was the perfect episode to have you on for the recap because you are another, ripped Canadian bro.
Exactly.
So, and you can speak to the experience.
Watch the video. It's right here.
Yeah,
here. Two peas in a pod, and Jeremiah goes home. Two Canadians in one episode. This is a day of mourning for us.
Well, actually, Omar, I'm going to tell you something. This is breaking news, and this is totally sincere. Today, like a few hours ago, I officially became a Canadian citizen. 100% true.
You're fucking with me.
No, 100% true. I was sworn in today. So I have dual citizenship. I'm also a U.S. citizen.
Yes.
I'm officially also so this was really a big day for all of us. Let's see here's me getting sworn in by Judge well, actually, this is a memorable name, Tony Blair.
Yes.
Different Tony Blair.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Swore me in, as a Canadian citizen. So when
are you moving?
TBD. I need my passport first, but
okay.
I'm official. I figured like Traders US was never going to call me, so this seemed like the easiest.
Anyone can get on Traders Canada, so you got it.
Yeah.
What an exciting time to be a Canadian citizen. But this is maybe it's like when one Stephen converts to Canadianism, two Canadians must die on Survivor.
I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, they're your blood sacrifice, and we're happy for it. I guess they did us good.
Well, let's jump in. This was such a crazy episode, so intense, and we do have like the definitive wildlife expert here to talk about this huge biting episode, as you say.
Mm-hmm. Took a bite out of us.
About the sea crate.
The sea crate, the banded sea crate. This is actually crazy because I was obsessed with the snake before I went to Fiji because I was like, I need to learn all about it because I hope there's a situation in which this information comes in handy. And here I was on too early. The banded sea crate is truly one of the most venomous snakes in the world. And venom, do you know much about venom? Are you one of those hobnobbing gliteratis that call it poisonous snakes? Because if so, I'm going to kick your ass right now.
No, I was. You should explain, but like I did not understand the difference. I actually have a venomous snake in Escape, a little plug here.
Ooh.
So actually, and it's in fact a crate. So but it's a different crate.
You incepted all of it. Canadian citizenship, the snake in the book. This was all you. This is like if we take on the curtain,
my dreams are
like
coming to life.
The Truman Show or some shit like that. That's actually crazy.
But so I did learn about venom versus poison.
Yeah, so poison is when you consume something that kills you or hurts you. Venom is when it's injected into you. And snakes that are venomous, they're never poisonous. So unless you eat the poison gland, which would be idiotic. But there are 5 types of ways to categorize how dangerous a snake is based on their venom. One is opportunity. Are they in a very, the banded sea crate is in the sea. So it's not really hobnobbing with our gliteratis out on land very often. However, the sea crate is interesting because it does spend half of its time on land, especially after they eat. Do you know what they eat?
I mean, Canadians.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And an eel or something,
Yeah.
that's what their primary diet is. And so when you're catching an eel in the ocean, you got to have really potent venom so that you can kill it very quickly. Otherwise, it's going to get away from you and you're going to lose your meal. So their opportunity is kind of 50-50 there. They're not aggressive at all. So it actually takes Jake was a shoe bandit, a one of a kind player. It's a one of a kind person to get bit by a sea crate.
How does it happen though?
Extraordinarily
Oh, so
non-aggressive.
you were going through a whole list of you. That was just one, right? About like what they
Yeah,
eat.
the opportunity, aggression, the injection mechanism. So if they have really long fangs in the front or in the back, the quantity of venom they inject, because sometimes it's only a little bit, sometimes it's a lot, and then how potent the venom is. And how potent the venom is really depends on what they're eating. If they're in the ocean, they have to kill something really quickly, otherwise it's off and away. There is the Brazilian pit viper you might be familiar with. There's a South American snake called the eyelash viper, and on mainland Brazil, it has, it's venomous, it's moderate venoming abilities, but there's an island called Snake Island off the coast of Brazil, which is illegal for people to go to because of the high concentration of these eyelash vipers that live on it. And they actually have even more potent venom than the ones on mainland because they have to catch birds in the air. And if they don't kill them right away, those birds are flying away and dying somewhere else.
Wait, are they jumping? How is a snake catching a bird in the air?
Their body halfway through the air to like strike them as they fly by, because that's their only source of food.
Wow.
So hence what
New nightmare unlocked.
Sea crate is extraordinarily venomous, but extremely non-aggressive. It is very difficult to get eaten by or bit by a snake, but this did seem like a freak accident where it came up to him. However, it makes sense that it was a dry bite, which is because it costs the animal a lot of energy within the body to create venom. So it doesn't want to go wasting it. It's like how birds are lazy as fuck. They don't want to fly unless they have to. That takes a lot of energy. We're not running around just for fun unless you're, I don't know, who are these runners on the show? Whoever is running marathons and half marathons and whatnot, they're doing it for fun, but you don't want to expend more energy than you have to. So these snakes, if they're not biting prey, they don't want to use their venom unless they're really threatened. So Jake was clearly not threatening or pestering the snake, which is probably why it was a dry bite as opposed to something more insidious or dangerous.
But why give the bite at all if you're like Jake was just sitting there? That snake, like, why give the bite at all?
It might have been unwell, but it came by, and it like if you see something large and kind of in your way and it's a relatively small animal, it's gonna bite. And also they're probably more likely to bite on land because the sea crate has a little paddle for a tail. And so on land, they actually can only go about 1/5 of the speed as they can in the water. So they already are impaired in it being able to get away. And if maybe it walked up and or slithered up and was startled, that's an easy way to kind of mark its territory and then run for the water. Or it could have been unwell. We don't know.
Do you think it's like because it was his foot, like he's something that it was like a rodent or something, like this?
I think the thing is they kind of like can sense heat, so they can probably see the big body. Like I don't think so, but I think it's more like this is kind of closer than I want it to be. Let me just warn it and walk away or slither away.
Have you ever A, seen a crate, or B, do you treat snakes?
I do treat snakes, but non-venomous snakes. At the zoo, we did a little bit of work with some of the venomous snakes, but you do have to be really careful because they can, it's very difficult to get anti-venom, which is another thing. Like, do you know how anti-venom is made, Steven?
I'm guessing from the venom?
Yes. So you have to milk the snake by putting it on. Yeah.
You can milk anything.
Yeah. You can milk your own milk that snake. So you put their fangs in a little cup and then they leach the venom out. And then you have to take small quantities of that venom and put it into a large animal like a horse, who then creates antibodies to it. And then you can give them a little bit more. And that creates more antibodies. And then you can take that horse's antibodies from its blood and use it to create venom. So it's a very anti-venom. So it's a very labor-intensive process. And it's not just widely available. It's not like Tylenol, Steven.
So, there's so much focus this episode on treating Jake for having gotten bit by the snake. Is the snake in any danger for having bitten Jake?
The snake got rabies now. He's gone. He's gone. We got the maple syrup bug. Maybe the snake. You know what? I think I saw a picture of that snake a few days later. I think he had a nipple ring. So I think something osmosisly went over there.
Well, let's talk about this. This was I found it very intense. Apparently I'm more of a Jake fan than other people, but like I really found it to be a very intense moment to watch. Like I got a little like agitated,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this crazy image, I thought, where like they're running with Jake on a, first of all, they're like, is he breathing? They're yelling it across the water. Is he breathing? Like, that's the baseline. They don't even know if he's breathing. I feel like they should have radioed. Is he still breathing? just make sure he's still breathing.
But then we wouldn't have gotten a peek inside, Stephen. We have to know everything.
Yeah. But then they're like racing across. It was such a cool image with him on this sled and like 3 boom mics hovering over him, which I thought was such like, this is like a crisis on reality TV. You've got the sled, but you also have the 3 boom mics. And then they take him, to this like little like shack, because obviously they're still trying to keep him like game ready, not walk us through, like what did you think about this? Like where was your head during this whole
experience? So do you know why they asked if he's breathing or how their venom works?
I guess they wanted him. Well, it's I know it's a neurotoxin, so like presumably it's just like
Yeah, so they do have a neurotoxin. They also have a bit of a myotoxin, meaning they can attack the muscles as well. And both of those together will cause paralysis and paralysis of your breathing muscles. So, sometimes in severe cases, if it is truly a bite where you're envenomated, which it only takes, I think about 45 milligrams or something like that to kill an adult, or something a very small amount, and you will need to be on a ventilator. Like they will need to put a breathing tube in and breathe for you if you stop breathing on your own because of this. And all of the muscle damage can also cause damage to your kidneys as well. So it is like, this is one of the most dangerous types of venom to get envenomated with. So they do have to be on alert for breathing, pain, vital signs, all of that. And I thought it was a very you should have had your heart racing, because we all know he's okay. We've seen pictures of him. He was hobnobbing with the glitterati of Rome, Carolyn, Jesse, all of those, Venus Flytrap, all of those characters he's playing around with. So we know he's alive and well, but in the moment when they're going through this process, you don't know if he's going to start showing signs of respiratory depression or respiratory arrest. And we know he has a baby on the way, and how much the game means to him. And he's Canadian, which he's your people.
Yeah.
So, I get how intense that moment really was. And it was a huge relief because a lot of medical emergencies, you got Neil with his little like abscess on his knee. Oh, he's going to be just fine. But if you get envenomated by the snake, you might not live. So it's probably one of the most serious medical emergencies that's ever happened on the show, other than maybe Caleb or Russell Swan.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Jake's position in the game, because it actually seemed like he was in an extremely good spot. Now, granted, his tribe is getting windowed down, but as we know from Mott Sing on, being on the disaster tribe is actually great for your game. Jake seemed to be in the best position on the disaster tribe. Like, in fact, like everyone's mind is absolutely blown, right? Like Alex and Sophie, like, how do I even function in this game without Jake? Jeremiah to a lesser extent. And, it really seemed like he was in a good spot. Was Jake in the best position of any medevac contestant ever?
Ooh, good question. You don't think that Joe Dowdle was walking away with it? Steven?
Joe Dowdle was in a good spot, but actually, I say that, but actually Joe probably might have gotten voted out anyway. So it kind of was like a good, it was like a,
we saw you blindside his fake showman, Sydney. We know he wasn't in a great position. It wasn't Mike Barassi, that's for damn sure. Bruce Canaguy was kind of going to get clipped. I feel like he might have, Jonathan Penner, he was kind of on the outs, but he started to make his way in, but he wasn't in as top of a position as possible. People say, Mike, okay, you know what? I'm going to get on my high horse here. People all over the internet and whatever it existed in 2001 and all over TV was like, Mike redacted.
Who's that? Yeah.
Would win. Exactly. That guy who the Fire could have done a better job on. He was going to win if he didn't get medevac. And I, at the time, even as a child, said, no, he was making everybody mad and nobody really liked him. So I disagree. I don't think he would have won. So I do think, yes, you are correct. Ring the bell if you have it.
Yeah, I don't. Ding.
Oh, you didn't get custody of it?
I don't get custody. Yeah, they don't send me the bell. I'm not. It's not safe.
You've been here with this organization for how long, and you haven't been given a bell?
The bell is like a relic. There's like a whole team that moves the bell from place to place of like priests and things.
Send it to Ghost Island for RHAP.
So then let's talk about. Is there more to say about Jake and the Snake? Jake
I just think he was in such a good position, and Survivor crowns itself prides itself on big power swings and changing up the game and making moves. And I think that the Snake should get the fishy.
Well, let's TBD. I'm not out on that. The people don't like it when that happens, but I do think that the Snake actually might deserve it. And with you here, We can make a case.
We'll see.
Well, let's talk about like the decision to pull Jake from the game, because what was interesting about it was it felt like it was as psychological as anything. They weren't saying you can't physically compete in this game. They were saying you've had a traumatic experience. You know, theoretically you're fine. I'd love to give you some better food. We want to give you some air conditioning. But it really seemed more about the trauma of what he had gone through. Like, where are you on that? Like, did you feel like that was like too aggressive for the doctors, or do you think that that was like good caretaking?
Yeah, well, I mean, first, I guess, far be it from me to say what a human doctor should do. I can tell you if it was a rabbit, what I would do. But
what do you do with the rabbit?
Yeah, a rabbit would have been that would have been a real envenomation, because you got to eat that bag. But in terms of this situation, like, yes, it did seem largely psychological. You know, he had his life flash before his eyes, and maybe he was going to lose his kid. I think from a medical perspective, if I had to guess, like, I think by the time they cleared him as a dry bite, or at least mostly dry bite, they've probably are confident he's not going to go into like respiratory arrest, which is the most concerning part. But is there a smaller venom dose, and he's a larger man, that is it going to start destroying some muscles, or will there be some weakness? Will that affect his kidneys, and then he's going to be dehydrated on the show? And is it too much of a liability as a precaution at that point? I think that, I mean, that would be more where I would go to. I think if it was truly a dry bite and there was nothing further, then I kind of think they should let him try and see how it goes. But at the same time, you know, we saw 3-4 minutes of that, 5 minutes of it, maybe. Who knows how distraught he was and what the situation was really like. I'm sure that they made, I feel like they probably made a cautious decision. But I'm not sure about, like, I thought, you know, when it seemed like he was getting medevaced and they're yelling, "Is he breathing?" I thought it was because he was a true envenomation.
Yeah. Well, and it certainly looked like that at the beginning. And what's so cool about, you know, this episode is like, they don't know, you know, like they're shouting at people, right? Like they don't know either. Like, we're watching it unfold for them in real time, you know.
There's no way to know, you know, like you really can't know until you start to see vitals change or the inability to breathe or move.
Yeah. So Jake is pulled from the game, and the Blue Tribe down to 3, and they're going to do it for Jake. They have decided, like, this is for Jake. We're going to bring it home for Jake. We're fighting for Jake here. We're going to win for Jake.
And that is actually a moment where I will say, yeah, it doesn't always translate on TV. I think this one actually did a very good job of translating the high emotions of moments like that, because it really does mean a lot to the people. You do bond very quickly. I get it's 26 days and whatnot, but this is an adventure that people were like looking forward to for much of their lives, sometimes their whole adult life. And the intense emotions of these challenges is really something that's hard to replicate on screen unless you really feel it. And I was not a sports person, you know, growing up, so I didn't really get that intensity of competition and bonding in the same way that, you know, the highs are really high when you win and the lows are really low when you lose. And I felt like this episode did a reasonable job showing how emotionally devastating that loss was, because even the other teams like couldn't physically celebrate. But I will say, like, even losing Jackson on day 3 of Survivor felt like a big loss. Like, that was very upsetting, and it really bonded our tribe very close together, because we were like, we are down one person and we are facing 2 fully intact tribes. And if we lose, we're going to get decimated. And it really brought the group together as opposed to tearing it apart. And I'm sure you felt the same thing. Like, you were like, going to win it for you, Joe, on his way out.
Oh, that one didn't. You know what did though? I mean, I really like Joe, but like Joe was getting voted out, so it didn't feel like, it actually felt like it kind of like, you know, this is like a nice way.
So was Jackson.
Yeah. When Terry was pulled, that was like a very like upsetting moment, because, like, you know, I knew Terry had been waiting for his second shot for so long, and then to like have him like leave in this sort of dramatic, really did kind of bring it home. You know, this guy just like life circumstances kind of in an instant pulled him away from it.
And Joe Del Campo, his bladder, my God. Yeah, very upsetting.
So let's talk about having to jump into the water immediately after someone has been like, I was like, you know, sea crates have an opportunity here to do something very funny, you know. That would have been
They are known for their sense of humor. Yeah, missed
They would
opportunity.
definitely fishy if they went for the second bite.
Yeah. Fishy for the rest of the season. No. I mean, jumping into it was a bit crazy, but also just going into a competition after that, like right after with no decompression, that is respect. I mean, that must have been very difficult for them to do.
But Blue absolutely once again falls apart. And there was some discourse on
tribe name, Stephen.
Well, I've got it. Is it Calais?
Yeah, Calais.
I make it a point to not learn their names before the merge or after the merge. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But so Calais is they do terribly. And again, like it comes down to the puzzle. And this just feels like there was some interesting discourse on x.com about why there are these disaster tribes. And I saw some folks saying that it had to do with and on Chat BCC, this was a discussion. It had to do with like really coming down to like one of the things posited was the puzzle solver. And it really feels like that's the case in this trio of tribes, where you have Jason on one tribe who's like lightning fast, blazes through these puzzles. Crazy that he was an alternate. And then
the nicest man as well.
He seems so sweet. And then on the other on Kelly, there's just nobody who knows how to do the puzzles. And you just like, what do you do? Like, you just don't have that person, and they don't test you for it beforehand.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess there's an IQ test or whatever, but it's not I don't even think it's the regular IQ test anymore, but it's the one I don't know what it's called. It's a W name or something like that. Well, Wonderlek. But yeah, I don't think that still accurately can portray things, especially when it's in the moment. It's very physical. It's not on a computer screen. And I do think that, in my opinion, there's some discourse about whether it is the, rejection of Flint and loss of supplies that kind of compounds each other. There's also the psychological component. Sure. I think it is probably more the psychological component, plus the fact that a lot of the challenge, it doesn't even have to be the puzzle. They're very homogeneous overall. Like, if you're good at one, you're probably going to be good at the other ones because they're that similar. And especially when you have the confidence of winning, it's just, we've seen it now time and time and time again. Whereas back in the day when you were hobnobbing in the Brazilian highlands, every challenge was different. Remember we had to throw those ceramic pigs? What the fuck was that?
I know, I do miss that. And even as a player, like when you show up for a challenge in Token Chains, like everyone was, I'm amazed that you remember that ceramic pig challenge, because I think about that too. It's like, what a weirdo challenge, but it was like everything was so different. You'd no clue what was going to happen. There was one where we had to like move, we had to race back and get boards and line them up and then like flip it upside down. And I mean, just like so many different weird.
You got sent to exile because you were sucked at that day.
Did suck at that. I was really bad at that. But like there was no one skill set or like that could dominate in any sequence of challenges, because everyone was like, we had the weight holding challenge, which I love. Where that was just like, who's going to be there the longest with weight on their back. But then there's like, again, like throwing ceramic pigs. It's like everything was a test of something different. And so it felt like, even both as individuals, but also as like a tribe, you kind of had to like find new ways to work together, which was really cool. Yeah, but now it's like, even on Cambodian, I think it's gotten more so extreme. Like there was like, okay, here's like the physical component, and then this is the like skill component, and here's the agility component, and here's the puzzle component. And it was like very much like you kind of knew what was going to happen every time, just because of who was in your group.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is really the thing that we're missing the most. Do you think if they're going to go back to that, would that lose some of the casual audience who loves these big obstacles, or no?
Does anyone like? I guess there are people who are watching. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they
love the challenges, bruh. That's what they love. Jumping
You're
over.
Probably right that there's like, does anyone want to watch the ceramic pig challenge?
I mean, I do, but
yeah, but like, does the Facebook casual want to watch the ceramic pig challenge? I don't know. So let's talk about, so Kelly loses, and it actually presents a really interesting strategic conundrum. Very like, yes. You've got these three players.
Wait, hang on. One question. I'm going to lose track of it about the disaster tribe thing.
Yeah.
Firstly, do you think it's like, some people think it's iconic and some people think it's played out? I feel like it's played out and a little bit boring. I want to see more groups go. What do you think?
I mean, I get the utility from a storytelling perspective where you get to focus so much on one group. You see them, you learn about them, and you're kind of getting the other two as like side characters. And then at the merge, it all kind of comes together. I also am a little tired of it. The fact that it's like every single season is sort of the same thing. I mean, anything repeated. I think it's a really interesting, strong narrative, but it just happens every single time. And I think we need, like, I'd like to see it get mixed up a little bit.
Yeah, fair.
What,
I know
you agree?
I agree so much. And what I would love to see is just something different. Even if they're going to stick with 3 tribes, what I would personally love to see is if only one tribe won immunity and every week 2 tribes were going to one tribal council. I think that, especially with
2 tribes to one, so they're both voting out one player.
I think that would be kind of fun.
But
it'll be just a different season.
The first week that happens, then then every subsequent week, the second tribe.
But you got your journeys to lose votes,
I guess so. Yeah.
Or people on the bottom, maybe they want to do. I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting to switch it up.
But I feel like that would lead to like a preseason pagong or like a pre-merge.
Yeah,
pagong.
Fair enough. Or they could at least send somebody from the winning tribe to the losing tribe and let them vote for fun.
Yeah, I mean, or just like mix it up a little bit. I mean, I'm with you. Like we do some format tweaks. Like Jeff's big thing, in the new era was throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what works. And I feel like they've thrown the stuff. They throw like one set of stuff. We need to keep throwing. You don't just like throw the one stuff. You got to. Keep throwing.
What that suggestion that I had would come in more handy as a returning player season, because then there are cross tribal relationships. So if you're going, it's not going to be a pagonging necessarily, but regardless.
Yeah. I mean, There's a lot of storytelling though there. That you're like, oh, why did this character jump over to this group?
90-minute episodes, baby. We didn't have the luxury.
It's because they played Clock Tower together.
Yeah. But now, yes, your point about this vote being very interesting is very valid, because I think it was actually even more interesting on paper than what was presented on this TV screen.
Yeah, exactly. I was like writing out like even just from Sophie's POV, like why and it actually was more complicated than it seemed at first. So like talk us through it. So let me set the stage, and then you talk us through the strategy, and then I'll jump in if I have anything. But like, so basically they go back, and Alex has this idol, and they don't know if he's going to play it or not. And to me, at least, it seemed like both Sophie and Jeremiah, their preference was to stick together. Is that sort of how you read it? Like, if they could have chosen, if there was no idol at all, they would have voted together. But because Alex has this idol, they kind of they devise this plan to let's lull Alex into this false sense of security where we can then blindside him because he's not going to play his idol. And then they kind of each go about that in their separate ways, which we should, I want to hear more about your perspective of their different tactics for that. But then obviously, ultimately, Sophie votes with Alex. So like, talk me through all the strategic permutations here.
Yeah, I think this is like the thing that this reminded me the most of was Eric Reichenbach going home, because this was a golden opportunity to do something like that. Like, I feel like the best move for Jeremiah and Sophie, if they truly wanted to stick together and kick Alex out, was to go full on theater, start throwing each other under the bus at tribal council, make it very distracting. Don't say, oh, well, we don't know if he's going to play it or not. Be like, it's irrelevant if he does, or something like that. I don't know. Like, I think that really laying into it, and then Alex he was already close to not doing it. But I think it really comes down to looking at it from each person's perspective. And I think there's a unique element of they don't know a tribal swap or absorption Malcolm and Denise style is coming after this. Very well, what they could do is go back to the Survivor Palau playbook and allow another immunity challenge, and if they lose, one of them is going home. And what happens if Alex kept his idol and it's still in the game? Like, then you go home Cerise style. So I feel like Jeremiah and Sophie have to, almost from just a pure mechanics standpoint, not counting their personal relationships, kind of have to force Alex to play his immunity idol while simultaneously trying to get him voted out if he doesn't play his immunity idol. Because if he keeps it and they're the last 2 with him and they do have another immunity challenge and lose, they're going home automatically. Now, obviously, that's clearly not the case because they are swapping, but they don't know that. Like, I think that that's something that they should keep into account. So if they either need to lull him into a sense where, so I think they're actually both incentivized to vote for him, because if he plays his idol, then it's out of the game and they go down to 2 and they still don't have an advantage over one another, or he goes home with the idol and you have the 2 that you want. Now, especially this is what seemed like Jeremiah was doing, because that's what he ended up following through on. For Sophie, I think it's a more interesting conundrum, because clearly Alex was, favoring her. He got into the alliance with 3 with her. Right. So now if he plays the idol, she votes for him, that is going to damage her long-term game significantly. So it almost does make sense, I guess, in her position to like cut bait on the relationship, but then try to get Alex to play his idol.
Yeah.
Because then it's out of the game.
I think that's kind of right. I mean, my feeling was, basically it makes sense for her to vote with Alex almost regardless, because if Alex and Jeremiah are voting for her, she's done. If Alex is voting Jeremiah and she doesn't, and he plays his idol, then, she's done. Right. Or she's like, if Alex votes Jeremiah and she doesn't, she votes for him and he plays his idol, Jeremiah's going home, but their relationship is ruined. And then there's like the world where like Alex votes for Sophie, Jeremiah, and plays his idol. Jeremiah votes for Alex, and Sophie votes for Jeremiah. And then it's a tie with Alex as a tiebreaker. But then
and he probably flips because Jeremiah,
because like she was loyal to him, right? Like, so that's like the only world. And so in that world, like, it still makes sense for her to vote for Jeremiah. So in like most instances, I think it makes the most sense for her to vote for Jeremiah. And I think you're right that like, you kind of have to like cut that one possibility out of the equation, because like the risk of absolutely destroying your relationship with him, and then
she has to make him play the idol. Like, I think that, and that's because if she gets down to hit just both of them and he's the only one with the idol, it's a really bad spot to be in.
And not just if there's another challenge, like even if they're like absorbed, and like it's the two of them, and you're always worried as the little group that they are going to want to pick you off, even though it like literally never happens. But does it literally never? Like maybe like one time in history, I don't know. Like,
I think back in the olden days, it happened a lot.
But like not in like when there's like two folks left. I mean, I guess Stephanie did kind of go out pretty shortly thereafter, right?
Yeah.
But even in that instance, like if you assume that they're coming for you, you still want to be the ones to what?
It happened last season. Vula.
Right. That's fair. Although that was sort of like a unique case because of Caleb. Like he was this like, wait, that was 40.
No, that was 40. It was like, but yeah, Caleb and Emily went out.
I was thinking of Caleb because where they voted Caleb at the merge anyway, but also like he was like Caleb. He was this like huge.
But
like that last season was also an anomaly.
And Mary were all out or pretty early, but but
that wasn't like 1, 2, 3, was it? I guess maybe.
I say
Mary lasted. Mary lasted
a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But they didn't really have. They had that was a whole unique set of circumstances. I mean, every season is different, but in terms of like I think that if the Matt Singh strategy is like really not, it is tried and true as like a pretty good. That's why Annie was onto something. Annie was a strategic mastermind. Annie wanted to get down to 2. She didn't care because she could be absorbed by the other tribes. But obviously it's too risky to kind of actually do that. But I think that Alex and Sophie, now that they've solidified this bond moving forward, have a lot of legs in the game to go far.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And especially because like the other tribes are gonna like take, I mean, you see it now. They're all like, it's us versus them, it was Jawan was saying that, right? That it was like, it's yellow versus red.
And
so
the crazy yellow was kind of that mad at Jawan. Like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah. So So what are you who did was there any world where this is like because of the pitch? Like was this because of, did Sophie give the better pitch here? Was Jeremiah's focus on him being a Libra? Like, Jeremiah was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let him talk through it. Sophie kind of went in for the hard sell. Like, should Jeremiah have gone in for the hard sell, or was this decision made like before this,
I didn't know Jeremiah was so into astrology. I went to Jeremiah's premiere party and he's like, or he asked me if I would like what I was, and I was a Scorpio, and he was like, yes, that makes so much sense. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Is that a compliment? Is that awful?
I think with Scorpios, and my daughter's a Scorpio, I feel like the Scorpio, it's like every sign is like, you're so creative, you're so like wise, and Scorpio's like, you are a hot mess,
unhinged. As it should be. But I think that Sophie's pitch was stronger, because she kind of got in there through the Jake route a little bit earlier. She started moving, immediately she hit the beach, made her alliances very quickly, and the Jake and her connection connected with Alex very quickly, and they started the 3 before Jeremiah made his move, even though he wasn't that far behind. So he's already kind of primed to want to work with Sophie. And then when we look at the way that both Sophie and Jeremiah were talking, to me, it was a little bit more like Sophie really gave a good pitch of like, the nails, how her life leads with that, which is another reason she really could not vote out Alex at that point.
Yeah.
If you say all of that and then vote out Alex like that,
that's a really good point. If that's your like whole identity is being loyal,
and he plays his idol, not a good look.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah, you could tell kind of when he was talking with Alex that you could see there was something behind his eyes of like he's trying to get one over on him. And whereas Sophie, I think, was not trying to do that. I think she was genuinely trying to see if she could find a way out of it with both of them. And that self-preservation, I think, translated into more authenticity and led to the decision that Alex made. That would be my read on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, and you're bringing up Say and Cedric last season, and like I think so much of what went wrong there was that they went into that merge situation with all the suspicion between them,
Yes.
where like you had that Cedric just basically like wringing his hands about whether he was going to keep Say or not, and like he like voted against her before he saved her, right? And then
that's like biting without the venom. Yes.
So like you have that kind of like situation where like that's part of why they didn't have that experience of like most of the sort of like loser tribes, is that I think like because they were against each other, right? Like I mean, Say was always like up to throw Cedric's name out. So it was like they didn't have each other's back, and so they were keeping each other in the spotlight, I think, to some degree. So I mean, like other than the crate, fishy for Sophie here or fishy for Alex? Is it that Alex made the right choice, or did Sophie do the right thing?
I feel that's interesting. So I think that I would actually give it to Sophie, I think.
Yeah.
Because Sophie made the best of the situation that she was in. I think that Alex, without that idol, is in a lot of trouble, and almost didn't play it. I'm nitpicking. I don't think you can really fault Alex too much for what he did. I think he made the right moves ultimately and did everything correctly. But I think that Sophie, the way she kind of positioned herself between Jeremiah and Alex, and neither of them voted for her. Like that is the most successful game player at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's right. I think fishy for Sophie, and it was really told from Sophie's point of view. What did you think of like the sneak? I really thought that was going to blow up in her face, like the sneak.
Oh yeah. I time and time. We've seen the Spy Shack work time and time again. It
really does work. I'm like, I think of myself. I think of like the beach in Cambodia, and like there was one little thing of bushes, and actually I think at some point like Spencer did a sneak like with Sierra on the beach. I don't know if that made air or not.
No.
Like, or maybe Sierra did the sneak. Well, no. Anyway, someone snuck. And like it just feels like there's not that much coverage in these like little bushes, and
yet also not giving Sandra Diaz Twine the credit. She started that strategy.
Oh, that's true. She was
Pearl Island.
Wow,
not Tony.
Yeah,
interesting that they're the only 2-time winners. Well, Parvati as well, but you know what I mean. But in terms of the Spy Shack strategy, I think it's interesting. It's hard to know how much she truly heard, but I think that shows that she has the hustle and like the real desire to win, and she's not letting her foot off the gas. And I think that is a very good quality to have in the game. I wish I had been like that. Like there was one point where I snuck up on Jonathan and Mike, but I like announced, and they were actually talking about me, voting me out that night. And I snuck up, but I didn't want them to think that I was sneaking up on them. So I was like, I'm here, but I should have just snuck up and listened to their conversation. Big mistake.
Yeah, just for the airtime of it all. So let's talk about some of the other tribes. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Hina, because you know what? I think Steven posted it on Instagram this week that all the Reddit comments about how this tribe was going to suck ass. And I have to say, I thought they were going to suck ass. I thought that they were going to be down to 2 by now, and they have been killing it. And I think that's fantastic.
I do think that there's a lot of the Jason factor here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's sort of like the tribe is handling itself well, but the edge always kind of happens at the challenge when, like, Jason just, like, blows past the other 2 tribes.
Jason is the Saul of this season. Just a force. Incredible. Incredible human.
Does he have huge
he's
flaws?
Also the nicest. He seems too pure for this game, poor thing.
He does seem quite pure for the game. I wonder if that was why they didn't cast him. Like, we know you're going to be great at the puzzles, but you're too pure. Yeah.
I want to see him cut someone up now. I want to
Yeah.
see him make a bite, but it's not a dry bite. Let's see the inner snake come out.
And then the other like highlight of the Hina tribe was the other alternate, right? Which
Yes.
do we know who it is? Is that public
MC.
info? Yeah, MC.
it's
Yeah.
public info, yeah.
So where MC finds the idol, and what did you, or the Beware advantage? What did you think of her choice to share it with only Steven?
Yeah, I love. Okay, first of all, I love MC. I feel like people like when I saw her last week, pull Sophie aside and give her a little what's what about the whole alliance that was forming behind her back. I actually like loved that in some ways, which I would like to contrast with another moment where that happens on the Red Tribe later.
Yeah,
but MC is in a position, like, I love that, but I saw a lot of pushback online about that. And I was like, I don't really get it. Like, I get you wait till after the challenge, but if she has a true and tried and true connection with Sophie, she should nurture that and keep her in the loop. And maybe don't bring in Jason yet, but like start the ball rolling of how you're going to save each other and go with the connections that you want, as opposed to just settling for the ones that don't feel right to you. Like, I actually quite admired that choice. And as long as she can trust that Sophie will not rat her out, which it's very possible that she won't do that. And she's now developed a very strong relationship with Steven. And she's showing the thinking ahead movements of like, how can we create a scenario where you and I can go looking for this idol without suspicion being cast upon us. And these idols, these beware advantages, is so important that your allies know. Like you actually famously, Steven, when I was listening back in the day as a child, because I was so young at that time. I remember you always saying, you've got to make your alliance with everybody and use the idols to bond with each other. And I remember thinking at that time, foolish, keep it a secret, don't tell anyone. And there was an era where that was really true. That was after the era where you were speaking.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of swung back the other way, where you do kind of have to pre-merge people into the fold. Otherwise, you're going to have to do this huge sketchy thing. Remember Gem?
No.
Survivor 46. Yes. Finds the beware advantage, hides it. Nobody knows. They still don't know until after, but she's acting very sketchy because she's on a side quest all the time, and that loses trust and she gets voted out. And so I think that everything that no notes on MC, I think she handled it perfectly. And I think the time of keeping things a huge secret is post-merge or when there's plausible deniability.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think you're right that it has swung, but I mean, there definitely was an era where like the sharing it did seem to work, and then I feel like
centuries ago.
Yes, thank you. Then like the sort of like very like the fast moving era where like anyone was kind of looking for anyone to any reason to target anybody. Suddenly, if you had an idol, you were a target, and like I feel like that was like sort of like the mid 30s, and then even into the early 40s. And especially with like the beware advantage, but now it does seem like you kind of there's like so much hardware that out in the game, and maybe it's kind of cooled down a little bit, but like it is worth sharing it to like make it work. And what's interesting to me is that people aren't immediately targeting people with stuff anymore, and maybe it is because there's so much stuff, but like I feel like in those like that like mid 30s era, if you had a thing, like you were gone, like we needed to get rid of you right now. But now I feel like if you've got a thing, like, okay, like that's interesting. How do I work with that?
Yeah. Why do you think that is though? Because I feel the reason that is partially is because I think a lot of the people that are getting these advantages that are so heavy on social capital, because you have to take time away, you have to get people to cover for you, that automatically inherently means there's going to be stronger bonds with the people that know about it. But also there's so much power in knowing where an advantage is rather than not knowing. And that is, when I have an idol nullifier, that's why I want Mike in the game with the idol for as long as, we left him in for. It's not knowing where it is so much more dangerous than knowing who has it.
That was always my attitude, was like, let me like know where everything in the game is rather than like have to control it all myself. But I also think it's just because there's so many things now, it's like, I mean, again, like less so in the last like couple seasons than in the earlier 40s where there's like, 6 different types of advantages at any given time. But I do think that kind of affected it.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it was like, there's just like everybody had something in their bag and you're like, oh, that's his thing. Oh, I've got my extra vote here. Like this is my knowledge is power.
Troyzan comes out with something. Who the hell is this?
there's another player in this game named Troyzan. Where did this person come from? Yeah. So, I mean, and it was interesting to me that like Sophie suggested, and I'm sure other players have suggested into this and it just hasn't made air, that like, oh, if we vote out Alex, then we can find it, which used to be just like a common strategy. Like if you vote the idol out, then the idol goes back in the game and then you have a chance to get it. which I feel like I don't hear as much about anymore.
No,
And maybe,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not, but I think that that is something where, again, it really depends on who's got it. If it's somebody you don't want to have it, then yes, get it out and let's replant it. And if you're already seeing this Kelly tribe, wither down to nothing, and Sophie's thinking ahead whilst Jake is still in the game, she knows that there's going to come a time where Alex and Jake's relationship is going to be a problem for her. So getting him out and redistributing the idol makes a lot of sense for her strategic game in those instances. And also it's a reason for her to continue to bond closer to Jeremiah, which she clearly didn't have any intention or at least action towards the truth, but it was a reason for her to get Jeremiah on her side.
What about, so what are your hopes here for Steven and MC? Are they going to do well
they're
in
in
this game?
Such a good position, and they keep winning. And the thing is, the way that this tribe has bonded together is so powerful because they don't have to show their cards with each other yet. They haven't had to go to tribal council. They're all looking as a group and like fostering this trust. And then you have Steven and MC that are going to keep Sophie and Matt, who are on opposite sides, maybe together for the short term. And so that taking them into a swap where their tribe has a lot more trust with each other. It often just comes down to that and the numbers, and they could easily clock and get rid of some of the Uli members because they're more unified. Whereas Uli is already kind of the red tribe. I'm sorry, Stephen. Are kind of turning on each other already. Right. And there's distrust that's becoming very obvious to where I feel like Hina or the yellow tribe could have an advantage.
But we always the traditional edit reading, and I try to avoid edit reading because I'm usually wrong, is that the messy tribe is where the winner comes from. It's usually it's someone from the drama
complex
tribe.
Theory tribe.
Complex theory. Yeah. Complex tribe theory.
Yes.
Yeah. Complex tribe theory. Yeah.
Sure.
Where that's where the winner comes from. What do you think? I mean, do you think if you had to pick a tribe now for the winner, which one would you pick?
I mean, I think that clearly would be Uli because they are the most well-developed. The thing is, Hina, I think that in the game, if we're just looking myopically at where we're at right now, they have the advantage. However, based on the edit, clearly they don't. To me, this strikes me as a tribe that is gonna kind of get decimated and be gone by the mid-merge situation. But just based on where their position is, it is so much greater in the current moment. If we look at complex tribe theory, I think that does have legs, but I think it's more important for who the end game people are as opposed to always the winner. Because if you look at Guatemala, for instance, the complex tribe was really Stephanie's tribe, but Danny won because she was the last one from that group to kind of make it all the way to the end. And last season, I really thought that the complex tribe was Lagi with Joe, Eva, Shaheen, Thomas, Bianca, and Star. And I thought that Siva, which had Kyle and Camilla, I felt like that was the only relationship they were developing, that they would be the Hina of this season. So, maybe they are switching it up a bit, but I would guess that the red tribe would have more people in the end game just based on the edit. But last season I was wrong about that. So who's to say?
You're listing tribes and the people on those tribes from last season. I have to struggle. Are you it really the new era for me, and maybe it's just that also I've only had kids in the new era. I cannot place which contestants are on which season in the new era. For the I know you are on the early 40s somewhere. Yeah,
43.
You were on Erica's season.
No.
I knew you were. There's a Canadian winner though on your season. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. The infamous, the infamous.
Yeah. So no, but I really have so much trouble plays. Do you feel that way? As a new era person, are you also all these new?
So I would say that if I were just a common folk, absolutely. But the problem is I've always been such a Survivor nerd, Steven. You don't understand the spreadsheets that I had, counting confessionals as a child. I had it all on lock. So I do remember everything. I do find it a little bit harder now because I'm more a little bit casual, as they say. But I that's always been something I've been good at. So I think
you are to Survivor as your sister is to all other.
Yes, as to Jeopardy. If there was clear anybody I'm telling you right now, I could kick Brandon's ass, Donlin, Owen.
Oh, this sounds like a
his ass too.
challenge. This sounds
Everybody.
like is
got them
Owen the
all.
big? Is Owen Knight?
Yeah, Owen's a big Survivor fan.
I mean, I knew he was a fan, but I didn't know that he was of that. Like, is you're like a new, you're like citing the Pigs Challenge. I didn't know that Owen was like Pigs Challenge level fan. I mean,
I think he is, but we'll see. Sam Phelan's pretty good too, but I could kick his ass.
Wow, you guys, I didn't know. We didn't have nerds like you when I was, we
I
were.
know.
I mean, like,
and when they did, they were, they didn't last long.
Well, I mean, not this.
Wasn't Spencer a little bit of a Survivor nerd?
Oh, Spencer, yeah, Spencer.
First Spencer.
Yeah. He was.
You don't remember his last name, do you?
I do. I do. I just was like, which? I've been on
Starts with the D.
I got it. I already did it. Okay.
Oh.
He was a Survivor super fan, but that back then it was a different thing.
True.
Like splitting votes back then was like, splitting votes. Like, we're just gonna blow your mind. It was it was a lot easier.
But now it's there's all these, I wish we had a Sandy Burgeon that could whip my little nerd ass around. Like, that would have been great. You were the nerd of the time.
Yeah.
And you weren't even that nerdy, to be honest, on the show anyways.
I ripped my pants on the first day. That was kind of nerdy. That was
fair enough.
Yeah. So just because my quads were so big. No, so this is back to the Uli tribe. So let's talk about the Uli tribe. You wanted to compare what happens here with Shannon and Sage.
Yes,
yeah.
I did.
So
MC, I feel like MC ratting out information. I shouldn't say ratting out information. Well, you know what? Rats are cool and cute and fun and adorable.
Snaking out information, snakes versus rats.
To say constricting it. But I think that made sense because her relationship with Sophie was stronger and she was developing a relationship where she needed to kind of flip the power dynamics and make things aware and become the center. Shannon is already at the center. She is in between Savannah and Sage. They both are looking to her as their kind of number one situation. And I think in the current status of that tribe, in the current dynamic, Shannon's best bet is status quo, where things are peaceful, because they both want to work with her. If she now starts to rip that apart a little bit, that can only hurt Shannon's game long term. And I think that is where I think that sometimes you should protect your allies by not divulging everything like that. That's what I would say. Be a peacekeeper.
Because I don't see, I mean, the only upside for Shannon here is that maybe it makes Savannah trust her more.
Yes.
But like, there's a very real world where Savannah then is like, Sage, why did you say this? To Shannon.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Where like that's the problem with passing the information on one degree. It's like it gets around. So
I mean, I get it in some perspective as well, because if she doesn't say something and then Sage does, that's really bad for Shannon. But it just did not seem like that's the vibe of what was happening. And also, I did like that she said, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not getting that, but she kind of did downplay it a little bit. So I can see her kind of thinking through the things that we're talking about. But ultimately, was there a situation in which you felt like you were the peacekeeper, where you didn't, like, JT's your guy, you were going to go to the end with him if you had won that final immunity challenge famously, as we all know.
Yes,
and we know that you weren't close at all to winning that. So thankfully...
It's a family podcast.
No, just kidding. We all know you were very close and you would have cut JT. But earlier in the game, you needed him in the game. If Joe Dowdle is coming up to you, or Sydney Wheeler is coming up to you being like, let's, or I don't trust JT and whatnot, but you're in the middle and have a good relationship, or Taj and JT towards each other, are you keeping peace?
Yeah, of course, because and that happened all the time. Like, JT was always coming to me and being like, let's vote. He
doesn't like soul music, as we see.
And then, I mean, you use it tactically, right? I remember that, like, I would, Spencer Doom would come to me and be like, why don't we vote out so-and-so? And then I'd be like, ooh, Spencer Doom, he's cutting throats. He's you use the information when you want to paint a target on someone, but you don't do it just to like do it, I think, because I think you do want to, I mean, especially now, if, at least we didn't see the perspective from Shannon saying, I really need to get Sage out. She's my target. I want her gone. We saw, and we did see her kind of like not having these relationships, even saying this is my soul sister, and I'm going to just immediately betray that soul.
How about this? She feels she's got her alliance of 4 with the Riz God, Nate, and Savannah. Jawan and Sage are on the outs, but she has a close personal relationship with Sage. Why not spin it like, I think Jawan's been getting into Sage's head about you and Rizzo?
Right. Well, I just like we don't really have it, because also, like, it did seem like Jawan was in with that group too. So I mean, my guess is between the two of them, probably Sage is more on the outs. And my read on this specific situation is maybe Shannon is kind of just trying to like curry more favor with the queen bee, like
right.
it seems pretty clear that Savannah
She's
is
the Amanda Kimmel to the Parvati.
Yeah, which one is the queen bee? The Parvati is the queen bee, and the Amanda Kimmel. This is like Alexis trying to curry,
Oh yeah, so cringe, Alexis.
She's a lovely person.
Sure.
Yeah. The okay, let's talk about another choice here. So both the Hina and Uli tribes they have like big tribe-wide hunts for the idol. In this case, MC chooses to share it with only one person. Rizzo's like, guys, I've got it. What do you think of that?
Yes. Again, I don't hate it in the situation that he's in, right? If he is on the outs like Jawan or Sage, and by the way, I love Sage and Jawan, and I think that they are. I wish that Jawan. I don't think he did anything wrong last week. I think that he should have done what he did, and I can't believe the Yellow Tribe was so upset with him for nothing, really. And then Sage, I really liked her story tonight, and I think her reads are like very on point, and I hope that she can find some traction in the game. But I think that in their position, if they find the Beware advantage, probably not the best idea to tell people. But if in Rizzo's position, where he can only lose things by becoming sketchy and using it as we need to unite as a tribe and do this, I like it. I like it a lot for him.
That's interesting. I mean, that's because I thought it was like too much, like letting everybody know. But I hear you that there's like some like real upside there. I just worry like it's then certainly if they merge or swap, everyone's gonna be like Rizzo's got an idol. Like it'd be like it's a way of differentiating yourself negatively. I do think
just burn it.
I think you need to play it, right? That's the new meta, right? It's like Alex did the right thing. Alex said, let's talk about it. Do you think Alex, I mean, in my mind, like
I do,
Alex 100% did the right thing. And any regret, yeah.
Because the thing is, it did the other two were incentivized to vote him out if they don't want to go down to 2 with somebody else having an idol. So I think that you have to in that spot.
Yeah. I think that's right. And then just in general, I mean, Rob and I have talked about this. Like it makes so much, just like play your idol, play it, get it out of the way. You've had it. Play it if there's any risk, and then you're done. Move on.
Yeah, but this Rob Cesternino, I don't care if this.
He's never played with idols.
He never played with an idol.
He doesn't know.
So he doesn't know. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Back in the day, there were 2 Robs. Now there's 2 Sophies, and he thinks he knows everything about idols. I guess we'll find out.
The game has changed. So let's see. Is there anything else that stick out to you from the episode?
The opening I thought was very funny. It was a big Rich and Rudy callback. Alex and I love each other, but not in a homosexual way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That was, and I think also Steven is doing. Well, we should touch on some of the people we haven't spoken about, but Steven, not Fishbach, is doing a great job. I think that he is well positioned within his tribe, much like his earlier Steven counterpart. But unlike
Steven's a very great name for Survivor. We have Chicken, and then Stephen Wright. He did okay.
Oh yeah. I forgot about him.
We're close to a whole tribe of Stevens.
Is Steve? I saw on Reddit that Steve Wright was dead. Is that true or false?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I didn't.
I feel like it might have been a rumor or a fake thing. Hope he's alive and well, but he was good. But I mean, I think that Fishbach, as that one person said, and Steven
and Ram is also like it's a pastoral and chicken. We've got like the fish, the ram, the chicken.
Yes. That's very true. Yeah. And they're all right choices. So there you go. But I think that he's doing a great job. I really like Christina as a character. I wish they give her a little bit more airtime, except the fact that she hates birds. So fuck that. But
right. How do you feel like having a bird hater?
Honestly, like I'm ready to. I think I went a bit too far because I sent her a bunch of pictures of cute birds, and I guess you shouldn't do that to somebody with a phobia. But I'm trying to like exposure therapy the situation. Like it's like I want to fix her, you know. I think that I can fix her. Sophie, I loved her attitude about finding out that she was on the outs. She's ready to play the game, so that's great too. Nate is a fun narrator. I think we've talked about everybody else, correct? And I don't
Nate is a real. I really like Nate as a narrator too. We haven't really touched on him too much because he hasn't really been a part of the action so much. But I really have enjoyed him too as a narrator.
Yeah, and then Shannon's in a really great spot. Savannah, I think, is a spicy player, which I kind of like. Like that's kind of fun to watch because it's not just a straightforward game bot. We get a little bit of variety because that's been a complaint of the new era is how many game bots there are. But she is, I think that her Achilles heel though is interesting because you can tell she gets very fired up when she hears something where calmer heads could prevail. And maybe it's just talking to the camera about it. But I think if she gets too focused now on stage, that could only be bad for her.
But I do think that she's one of those players who's different in her confessionals than she is around camp because I feel like, and those are the best players, right? Yeah. Who are able to like be very like chill and peaceful and vibes focused at camp and then turn it on in the confessionals because like obviously it makes them better characters. You know, they're great players around camp and great, you know, but also it shows that they're able to kind of like sort of like modulate their emotions in that way. And so like, yeah. And I think that to me, that suggests that she's a very strong player. What did you think of casting's choice to cast 5 white brunettes whose names started with S? Do you think at a certain point they're like, we need like at that point, like they've got 4. They're like, we should just do the 5th, right? We're not going to cast that blonde girl. Like, let's just get the 5th S brunette in here.
You know, that's really, you know, people said they wanted some old school Survivor back, and they're doing it. You know,
I don't know. There was more of a mix of
hair colors,
hair colors in old school.
Was
Survivor.
There? I don't know.
There was always like 2 blonde girls.
I suppose. Right. It's a new era, Steven. You have to change it up a little bit.
So anyway, so what else? Okay, fishy. We got the fishy for Sophie B. We have the
but honestly, if the crate had gone like you can't do the half measure where you like, you know, you either go full. If you're gonna take the shot, you better take the shot.
That's true. Yeah,
you can't just be like, oh, then Jake knows you're trying to get him out, but you didn't finish the job. Finish the job. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. So fish or the snake second choice. Sophie.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think the real snake in the game. Tell me what's going on with you?
Me? Nothing much. Just living life. I just got a condo, so I've been trying to deal with that.
Congratulations!
Very exciting life stuff, and everybody should tune into Traders Canada on October 21st, 2000.
I'm so excited. Do we know yet if you're a faithful or a trader?
Nobody knows until the premiere night, baby.
Wow. Can I ask what you told them that you wanted?
No.
Okay.
You'll see it on the premiere, Steven.
Oh, I really can't wait. I've never watched an internationals traders before, but this is going to be my first. I'm so excited.
You know what? The Canadians are messy. You know, we watched season 2. Have you seen that?
Venus? No, I've never watched an international traders before. Yeah.
Funny as hell.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this. I really can't wait to watch you again.
Yes. And I also want to plug your book because you know what? Did you know, Steven, that I'm like Leah Michelle. I don't know how to read. I have not read a book, a fiction book voluntarily since grade 8, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe 7.
Wow.
I've only read nonfiction and like I read textbooks and journal articles. Boring. This will be the first fictional book that I have read since 2002, since Survivor Thailand.
You don't have to read you can skim. That's okay. You know, as long as wow. Well, you say that, but you haven't started yet, so you don't know. But speaking of which, I got this blurb, which is you can see. I just got this blurb. I'm so excited about it. Which you can see if you're watching this video, and if you're listening to this, I'm going to read it to you. This is the blurb from Nathan Hill, who was the author of The Knicks and Wellness, and he wrote about my book, a scathing behind-the-scenes expose, but also a heartfelt and tender story of people being turned into entertainment, then scrambling to edit themselves back into people. And I was so excited when I got this blurb. Nathan Hill is like one of like he like blew open what writing could be now, because he writes these like big books that are hilarious. They're super fun to read. They're also like deeply moving, and they all deal with kind of big cultural themes in a way that like, so like he really like opened the door to me on like what a book, you know, what I wanted to be doing as a writer. So it was like, to get this kind of testament from him was just so awesome. And you know, hopefully inspires you to go out and buy my book at stephenfishbach.com. Signed copies also available. Omar's already bought it and apparently is going to read it.
I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna review it, and I kind of want the audiobook version.
Well, I actually just finished casting my audiobook and I can't reveal who they are yet.
You're not going to read it?
Well, I just can't. I shouldn't be saying this because I think it'll hurt sales, but I am not going to. It's like, I can't do voices. Like, Know It All's listeners know, like, I don't do the improv. You know, if it was just like a nonfiction book, I would read it. But it's like fiction. You know, people like do characters' voices and like banter and like, you know, enact sceens. And that's.
Okay, gun to your head. Do JT right now.
Oh, well, how y'all, Steve-O? Oh, I can do better than that. I can do better than that. Hey, Steve-O, like, how you doing there, buddy? See, this is why. See, thank you. You've just proving my point. Hey, Steve-O. All right, that's a little better.
If you buy a lot of copies, then we can. If people buy a lot of copies, then we can play more BMR. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, the other thing to say is, like, if you have bought a copy and you mail a proof of purchase, like a screenshot of your purchase, to escapefishbach.com, I'll add you to the Escape Clock Tower server, which actually is like a really cool, thriving community of Clock Tower players, like a lot of new players who are playing just for the first time. And like, what's been amazing to me to watch is, like, not only is this like building, like turning into like a whole games community, but like they're having like movie nights. Like, it's actually like a social community that's united by, it's like the interest of like people who love Survivor, people and listen to the Know-It-Alls, usually most of them, people who are readers, and people who like social strategy games like Clock Tower, and like they're all in and like it's like turning into a real community.
Yeah, and two of your members who we are out now on a first name basis with, Lauren and Pambala, wanted us to talk about the snake together. So
is that right?
Shout out, and you could be shout out. You could have a shout out next time too if you join the community and buy Escape.
Yeah, Lauren just played Clock Tower with Marianne, right? I mean, like
in person, yes.
In person, yeah. So real life friendships are being made here through Clock Tower. What else we got coming up? So, as you know, tonight Rob is hobnobbing with the Glitterati in New York, but that's not all. If you want to see Rob in San Francisco, I don't know if there's still tickets available. It doesn't say. Maybe there are tickets available. Are there tickets, Jess? There could be still tickets available. November 5th in San Francisco at the Sidney Goldstein Theater. Be very exciting, and there may very well still be tickets, so you can buy them still, possibly. What else we got?
I was so close to going to that one.
Really? I was talking about it too. I told Savage that I was going to go, but this is my blind side. I may or may. I'm still hoping to go, but
Rob advertised on the Andrew Savage podcast that you were going, and the Amy Cusack one.
I should maybe inform him. Well, I'm hoping to. I'm really hoping to.
I lied about the Amy Cusack one. He never said it on that.
Amy knows who I am. She wouldn't have been like, who?
She did name drop you.
Oh, positively.
More neutral, like, okay. Oh yeah, I know Fishbach.
Yeah, he's someone who exists in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Amazing Race Big Brother edition, we have an episode 3 recap coming up. So if you like The Amazing Race with Big Brother players, then this would be the recap for you. And I pulled the strings. Deep dive with Ashley Hollis. Is that a Taryn thing? Taryn's doing that, right?
Taryn doing that? Yeah. Oh, Taryn did it.
Taryn did it. He did it, and it was great, and you can listen to it.
Tehran, as they said.
My fellow.
Did you see that clip?
Scribbler. What?
Did you see that clip?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, Tehran. Ashley was like, they're like, are you going to do a deep dive with Taryn? And she was like, who's Tehran?
What's funny is that she's just like repeating back his name, but like raw, but incorrect.
Well, it was in text because it's Instagram Live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very funny.
And then join the club, Club Condo, with Rob Cesternino and Chappelle, and it's very fun. And they'll be talking about all the things they like to talk about on Club Condo. What?
Why is his tongue so long?
I don't know.
This might not be appropriate, but I have the shortest tongue in the world.
Really? Let's see it. That's it?
That's it.
That's all you got?
That's
Wow.
it. That's it.
That's it?
I should probably cut the thing under the tongue because I think that's what's
Oh,
holding
do
it
you
back.
have a tongue tie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm
Do people do
sorry.
that to adults?
I could probably do it myself.
What's the ice cream situation? Is that challenging for you? Like licking ice cream?
Well, no, because you can still go like this.
Yeah, but like then you're getting it really.
You're gonna have
up
to
in your
increase
face.
the rating of this
But you
podcast.
get, but like get the nose, too. Like
Yeah.
with we
Yeah,
got
it's a little
these
challenging, I
things. You get to get the ice cream right up to your,
But I prefer not to lick. I prefer to bite
Okay, bite ice cream.
and eat it with a fork. I don't like eating it with a spoon.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is a new podcast. What else we got, Jess? Anything else?
Jessica Sterling, what do we got?
I think that might be it. All right. That's it. That's it, she says. So thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
Me? Oh, on Traders Canada season 3, October 21st.
Where's your what's your address?
X Blue Sky. That's it, right? Clock Tower occasionally here and there.
Yeah. Very fun. You were a very fun role in the latest Clock Tower. That was a very fun game.
That was a cruel game, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I think that's it. Thank you all for listening. What a joy. Yeah.
Oh, snakes are friends. They're not foes. Actually, we didn't even talk about that. They're doing their best, and they're not bad.
I'm scared of snakes.
I shouldn't be scared of snakes. We can, like Christina, exposure therapy. I'll send you some cute little snake.
No, please don't.
I'll send you my snake pictures.
You know what I'm really scared of? Children, adorable children. I'm scared of playgrounds. Yeah.
No.
Don't send me pictures of playgrounds. Don't send me pictures of adorable children.
They're snakes are some of the best pets people could have because they're so chill and nice, and they don't smell and they don't shed, and they're cuties.
Yeah. Okay. They smell though, don't they? Like they're terrariums.
No, they don't smell at all. They smell like nothing.
Huh.
Nothing, and they're not slimy.
Why does like the snake enclosure always kind of smell at the zoo?
It's probably the other stuff in it.
Maybe it's other reptiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was really a pleasure, and I will be here next week. I guess.
You know what? They only smell when you give them an enema.
maybe my zoo is very enema forward. Okay. All right. With that, let's go.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.